And we are live for round 5. We're at Buenos Aires this evening. We've just had qualifying finish up. Got 11 cars on the grid today. So, that being said, qualifying pretty close. We got 5 cars within 5/10 of each other in the top 5. And then the rest not too far away from each other either. We've got a few 49s, maybe some people that we expected a little bit higher up the grid than where they've finished, but that is the nature of one-shot qualifying. Now, going into this round, obviously only 2 rounds. I've got these 2 races. Then we've got the final round at Brands Hatch next week. You are looking at Italo the Senior leading your championship, tied with Yoshikawa Yoshitsune, the Nissan Skyline GTR. So it's Pontiac versus Nissan at the front. Alberto Dante Levas, home circuit for the driver, is third in the championship, directly followed by Olivier Van Dam. And all of those 4 drivers within 7 points of each other. So definitely quite close, but further words from myself. We're going to jump onto the grid because it's a 4-wide start. This is potentially going to favour the Alpine here, actually. It's not a super long run to the first corner. It will be a much longer run out of the final corner in future races, but as you can see here, we've got sort of a quick run to that first corner. You can hear them all starting to rev. Lights are turning on as we speak. And away we go. A really nice launch from the Alpine. The Sky, both the Alpines actually. The blue one, Alberto Dante Levas, all the way up into third already. Unfortunately, not a long enough straight for him to make too much out of that. That being said, Yoshikawa Yoshitsune manages to pull forwards into the lead. Coming through into turn 1. Now it's a long first corner here. We're going to jump a little bit further back. Alpine's really nice corner speed through here, which is going to put Iki Karpachenko just onto the grass, but puts him back up into second. But as we go down to this next turn, he's on the outside, 2 cars on the inside, 3 wide through this corner. It looks like Berengar Toscanini ducking out, making it 2 wide between Karpachenko and Van Dam. Karpachenko electing to go outside, manages to get back through on Olivier Van Dam ahead. Yoshikawa Yoshitsune, in the meanwhile, getting away nice and quickly because of this. Have a look a little bit further back. You can see there's a few more battles between these cars. You can really see the differing lines of the cars through this technical section. This is really where these small Alpines are going to thrive versus these larger cars. Speaking of, home race, as I already mentioned, for Alberto. He's going to look to see if he can get past Leon Stefanik as quickly as he can. He wants to get past before this long straight if he wants to have any chance of making up some ground on the drivers ahead. Italo Senior, obviously championship leader, but 4 positions down from Yoshitsune, his direct championship rival. It's going to be interesting to see whether he can make up any ground. Is it like 1 of 11? Plenty of time for things to change though. Yoshitsune taking fastest lap. And no one beating it, but we will see the proper laps coming through next time. As we go into turn 1. See, pretty close between Hans Helmuth Basler and Dante Levas. We're going to maybe see a move into the right-hander ahead. We've got just a long enough straight that Basler's going to be able to get alongside. Now they're going to look to the inside, go into this corner. And they're going to get the move done just about. Nice little move on the Alpine there. But the Alpine's going around the outside. It's interesting decision. But that being said, we're going to go through into this next little chicane here. Alpine getting on the curb actually a little bit. Oh, a little bit of contact. Not entirely sure who was at fault at that. From our camera angle, kind of difficult to tell what happened. That is unfortunate for the Alpine. Seems to have rejoined. Gone alongside with Basler. Again, not sure quite who's at contact. Is giving up the position now. Jaguar directly behind of Lawrence Kelly and Rockfoot. And this is probably one of the biggest cases on the grid, barring the Pontiac, of the pure size difference. A brilliant slide there from Bertrand. Going into that corner there, we just missed it. But here, we're going to see coming through in here, this is the large Jaguar Mark 2, I believe. Coming up now, and we're going to really see the straight line of speed. You just watch that delta on the left. Watch that gap just decrease between Kelly Rockfoot and Dante Levas. Now Levas has slipstream, which is going to benefit him, but even still, you can see that's half a second just on that one straight. Kelly Rockfoot already closing in behind the Alpine. Speaking of Alpines and size differences, here's another case of this. Iki Kopchenko and Nithi Lawler Sr. Another great battle. Kopchenko just losing that time on the straight, but as we go into the corner, you're going to see he's going to very quickly pull that time back in. And it's all about, can he make the most of going down the inside here, probably. Nice little dive. Just managing to keep it out of the rear end of Berengar Toscanini. So we come through the first of the two S sections. Through the infield, so to speak. Kopchenko looking to get on the inside of Toscanini. Very opportunistic move there from the Soviet driver, sorry. Spanish team Soviet driver. Very interesting combination of nationalities there for you. It's going into this final hairpin. Now this is where it matters the most for Kopchenko. You can look down the inside and try and do something, but realistically he already knows these two cars are passing him on this straight, so it's about how can he slow them the most, how can he sort of cause them issues the most. And of course, the more that these three battle, the more you can see Leon Stefanek not too far behind in that yellow and white Datsun 240Z. So come through into turn one. We're just going to go on board super quickly with Kopchenko just to get an idea of quite how much the gain is through these corners. You can really see how much he's pulled up to that Pontiac Firebird ahead of him. But there's nothing he can do. The straight line speed is a bit too much for him to get anything done here. And again, through this corner, you're really going to see if he can keep it together. Let's go look down the inside. A really late move. Berengar ahead getting a little bit loose a bit as well. This is probably one of the closest circuits between all three car types here. We've got the small cars once again of the Alpines, mediums of cars like Berengar's ahead. The Alfa Romeo Montreal. Oh, nearly down the inside from Kopchenko there. Maybe looking a little bit too late for that dive. He's going to look to seek his nose up elsewhere, but not quite enough speed to make any other moves here. And then Nithi Lawler Sr., Olivier Van Dam, and the Kelly Rockfoot brothers, all in large cars. So a nice mix on display of these 11 cars that are racing. This time, once again, Kopchenko looking down the inside. Oh my goodness, Nithi Lawler Sr. has lost the rear end there. That's going to put Stefanek through. That's definitely not what he wanted here. He's going to have to do all that work again, and then some, to get past Stefanek. So we see the fastest laps come in You can see 47s being achieved in race pace by these two front runners, Van Dam and Yoshitsune. If we have a look at the fastest laps, Van Dam managing 4/10 faster than Yoshitsune. Both of those drivers almost like about 6/10 clear of the next fastest, that being Nithy Law the Senior. That being said, as I'm talking about this, too wide through turn 1 between these two. I'm going through into this right-hander. This is going to be advantage Kirpichenko for the next few corners. This is definitely the part of the circuit where the great handling of the smaller cars really comes into play. Although they're a lot more fragile, a lot more awkward to handle, you know, if you make one mistake, it's a lot harder to recover it than the medium and large cars. If you nail it, like Kirpichenko seems to be doing, this is where you can really pull a gap. He's already pulled a second just through this section alone. And Nithy Law the Senior's mistake has allowed Ante Levas to pull in this gap to Leon Stefanek. Only about a second between those two. Jaguar behind of Lawrence Kelly Rockford. Nice little slide into the chicane there from the driver. Now Dante Levas, he's going to lose out here a little bit. So he needs to really just look... Nithy Law the Senior looking to the inside once again. Sorry, interrupting myself. Very, very interesting move attempted there. Not sure quite how well it would have gone. That being said, speaking of moves, we're going to jump to our lead battle we've not looked at too much, because they're now actually too wide. Livian Van Dam round the outside, and manages it, surprisingly. Although that being said, Yoshitsune may be looking to the inside. No, not quite getting his nose there to the inside. To power down the into turn 2. Now again, you got to remember this Skyline is much lighter than the Mustang, but the Mustang can very much hold control over this sector. There's not many places where it's easy for any passes to be made, so we are actually going to jump back because we might see a move down the inside here from Stefanek. Just putting his nose at the inside, not quite getting it done. Oh no, he's managed it. He's too wide now. Alberto Dante Levas probably quite frustrated following these two. He's actually had to go off the circuit. Unfortunately there, he's giving the position up to Dante Levas from that as well. Again, that small blue Alpine definitely going to be frustrated every time he sees cars ahead of him getting in a bit of a mess. Now, I must have missed an incident because I don't remember seeing Basler have an accident with anyone, so I must have missed that at some point. I do apologise. Going this way and that in, looking to find a way through, but Stefanek instead opting for a nice wide line. He's going to try and make the most of the exit here. Again, we're going to see on board, we're going to see in real time. Let's try and find a good camera for this. There we go. We'll go for this one. You can really see how much this Datsun pulls. You can probably see Dante Levas just... Unfortunately, we don't seem to have a camera on the inside wheel of Stefanek looking backwards, which is a shame, because we would have got a great angle there of seeing just how much Alberto is able to sort of catch going through there. Speaking of, we probably will get a much better angle from the Alpine. Here we go. Going through the corner. You see how much speed they gain. He's able to sneak a nose up the inside, going down into this hairpin much later on the brakes than the Datsun. That is going to let him get through quite nicely there. So midway through lap 7, majority of the race complete. A little bit on the dirt from Levas there. You can really see just how much these cars are having to really push these entrances to some of these corners to try and get some turn in. Really kind of clipping the dirt a little bit. I think there was a puff of smoke from Levas there. So it's going to be interesting to see, was that a mistake, or was that just perfectly pushing the braking zone? And I think, given how much of a gap he's managed to pull from Stefanik, I think that's actually been quite a nice lap there for Levas. We're going to have a look at... Let's see if we can get last lap up. There we go. Levas last lap 49.5. Stefanik 51.1. So Kelly Rockford behind. Oh, Levas going off by himself though, that being said. So yeah, we might see Lawrence Kelly Rockford make up a little bit more time to Stefanik ahead. Maybe we'll see a battle between those two coming up. To come into the infield section, see the differences in lines coming through that hairpin there. Coming through Ascari into Cajon. Then the chicane of Toboggan here. Again, there's not many corners at this circuit. It's not a super complicated circuit. What corners are there? Definitely a challenge for our drivers. I believe this is Horquilla, this hairpin. Now again, out of the context of the 1970s. This is a circuit made by Sergio Lora, relatively recently released. And this is the first version we've really had of Buenos Aires in the 1970s. This is obviously one of the shorter layouts. We're not running the full Grand Prix layout, so to speak. And we do very much appreciate Sergio's work on this beautiful circuit. As we do appreciate all the modded circuits which we use for the league. Seems like Stefanik maybe getting a little bit loose through that past corner there. So come through into the infield once again. It looks like Kelly Rockford just once again, he's managing to pull a gap every single lap. He's managed to close that gap in, sorry. But through this handling section, he's just not quite got the pace in that larger car. We're going to see as they come down into the chicane of Toboggan once again. It looks like Anselm with Basler has started to pull a little, catch up to these two ahead a little bit as well. So we might see a nice little battle forming up near the end here. We're going to see Kelly Rockford is maybe going to get a move this lap. Closest it's ever been between these two, 2 tenths between them. I think this is almost definitely going to be a move, and I think Basler might be, going into 2 laps to go for these two drivers. It's coming down the start-finish straight. Now Stefanik is ahead on the inside. Just maybe some mild ping issues for Kelly Rockford's driver, but looks like he's managed to get turned in. Oh yeah, just a few moments of just lagging back there. Maybe not the safest in the world, but I'm sure we'll get that sorted relatively soon. Yeah, just some backtracking that's making it a little bit maybe dangerous for Stefanik to follow too close. But he has made that move despite the internet issues. Basler pulling a second. Sorry, catching a second. My apologies. up to the 2 drivers ahead. So yeah, this could be quite a nice little last minute couple of position gains for Basler, for the German. So you see the 3 cars coming down into Toboggan. Only one more time through this corner for them. As Stefanek goes quite wide there, onto the grass a little bit. Now, this is really where Kelly Rockfoot needs to really nail this hairpin now. Cars behind do have about 50 horsepower less than him. So he needs to make the most out of this straight line speed while he has it over the other drivers. Because if they can get into the slipstream, they're going to be able to catch it. It looks like maybe Stefanek, despite his slightly dodgy previous corner, is actually reeling in a tiny bit, just kind of maintaining that 0.5 gap. So we're going to see. It's going to be very interesting to see if anything can be done. Just one mistake from Lawrence could easily move any of these 3 drivers up or down a position. We continue into the infield for the final time now. Nice little slides from all 3 drivers there. 4 tenths separating a gap between each. Basler locking up a little bit, but managing to get alongside Stefanek. And we're maybe just not quite going to see. It's going to be very close. Maybe one more lap might have just swayed this a different way. That being said, Stefanek getting very loose. That could be what Basler needs. Just, you can see that gap coming down. Down to 3 tenths coming into this chicane. This is going to be really important for Basler to make the most out of this if he wants to get forwards on Stefanek. That being said, it seems like not quite able to make the most out of it. Down to 5 tenths. It's all in this final corner. A really strong exit here could put Basler up in front of Stefanek. It's going to be interesting. Unfortunately, I think Stefanek's just made the most out of it. And that is going to keep his 8th place safe. But as we missed it, that was a very well won there by Olivia Van Dam in the Ford Mustang. And I believe that is her second... No, that's her first win of the season. So congratulations to Olivia for that. Yoshikawa Yoshitsune taking 2nd. That's his 4th second of the season. A very consistent driver where it matters. Despite the battle with Van Dam, both of them managing to pull an extraordinary gap. Kopachenko taking 3rd. Brilliant result for the Alpine. Given he doesn't have any drop rounds, he really needs to make all these last rounds count, but 3rd place, best result so far. Oh no, sorry, 2nd best result so far. He did finish 2nd at Laguna, so small mistake there. But again, very well driven. Orengar Toscanini taking 4th place. And again, actually, his 4th place of the season. Lots of consistency in these front runners. Nithi the Senior definitely going to be a little bit upset himself, starting on the front row but finishing 5th. That being said, I think in the reverse grid race, it could be interesting to see, can he, reverse his fortune. I say fortune as if 5th is even particularly a poor result, but versus Yoshikawa Yoshitsune's 2nd, definitely would be desiring a little bit better than that. Dante Levas taking 6th. Again, probably would have hoped for more, but still a good finish from the Argentinian. Lawrence Collier-Rockfoot taking 7th. Leon Stefanek 8th. And Hans Helmuth Basler 9th, as we saw a good chunk of their battle. And Keith Sparrow 10th, with Bertrand Collier-Rockfoot 11th. finishing out our drivers. Now, this is a full reverse top 10 grid, so unfortunately for Bertrand, the one driver to miss out on the reverse grid, but that does put Keith Sparrow on pole position. So your front row will be Keith Sparrow, Hans Helmut Basler, Leon Stefanek, and Lawrence Kellier Rockfoot. Your second row will be Alberto Dante Levas, Nethilola Senior, Berengar Toscanini, and Iki Kopchenko. And your final row will be Yoshikawa Yoshitsune, Livia Van Dam, and Bertrand Kellier Rockfoot. So yeah, very interesting how this could go. Obviously Van Dam qualifying, I believe, on the second row. So a little bit further back to work forwards from. Same for Yoshitsune. Obviously he started on the front row. Kopchenko probably the most affected by this. But we will see. Hopefully most can be made from it. Now you can see there's our drivers. Sorry, Iki Kopchenko just sneaks onto the final spot of the second row. My apologies. Both Alpines, sorry. Starting on this middle row. Now it's going to be interesting to see where they're going to go. There's a lot of large cars surrounding them. A lot of people who maybe not necessarily going to quite get the start that they're hoping for. Compared to these small cars. So we could see a bit of an incident here, but hopefully it will be kept clean. As we get the lights on, here we go. All lights are on for race 2 at Buenos Aires, and they are out. Once again, great start from both the Alpines. Alberto Dante Levas immediately looking on the inside, running in the pit lane. Thank goodness we don't have anyone stood there. It's going to be 5 wide potentially going into turn 1. This could only end in a lot of stress, really. Stefanek leading in the skirmish, I think is the only way to describe how this is going to be. Looks like everyone just about making it through. A few people on the grass, but nothing too bad. Basler looking to the inside into turn 2. Just getting a little bit loose though, nice little bit of angle. Stefanek going very wide, same with Alberto Dante Levas, very wide on the grass. It looks like he's managed to pull it back. So everyone kind of concertinas in together into this infield section. As you see Berengar going forwards, getting in front of Stefanek. Nice little move there, but then getting really quite slidey, really quite wide. Stefanek copying. Maybe to his detriment. We see Kopchenko, Yoshitsune both behind, just Stefanek seeing red around him, and not in a violent way, but probably in quite a terrifying way, really. So we come through Toboggan. The driver's making it through quite nicely there. Now this is going to be the most important lap for Kopchenko if he wants to make up some time on the fast drivers behind him. He really needs the best exit he can here. He needs to not get slowed up by Stefanek as much as he can. Kopchenko definitely had lots of pace on Stefanek. I believe fastest lap was a good second or so. But this is the problem, you see. That top speed deficit allows Yoshitsune through. We're going to see going into turn 1, is Kopchenko able to make the most of his momentum advantage through turn 1? Opting to take a really nice and wide line through there, then ducking back to the inside, and that's going to let him through on Stefanek, who goes onto the dirt. Looks like a little bit of dirt from quite a few drivers there. I believe the 2 Alfa Romeo Montreals ahead get a bit on the dirt as well, a little bit loose. So you come through the second turn. Kopchenko is going to look down the inside of the skyline. Gets it done quite neatly. Stefanek now hoping to maybe make something on the skyline ahead of him. He's following pretty close nose to tail from everyone so far. That's been a nice pull, a nice amount of pulling away by Basler and Toscanini. They've managed to pull a second on everyone else, but that only is going to last so long. If Kirpchenko can't hold up the drivers behind, that could end. I believe Kirpchenko's hoping for a second. If he's got a second on everyone coming out the final corner, I think he's just about able to survive into turn 1. Doesn't have to yield to the drivers ahead. That being said, looks like he's maybe actually going to make a move forwards. We get the camera moved across to him. Well, not quite. Maybe it's just a bit of consumer effect, bit of battle between the two Alfa Romeos. That's going to definitely allow Yoshikawa down the inside he's opting for this time. We're going to see Kirpchenko taking fastest lap though. It's very interesting. We're going to have a quick look at that. Barely half a tenth in it. We're going to see Kirpchenko going nice and wide. Very nice line through there. Really, really tight between everyone, really. Oh, Basler getting onto the grass there, but managing to recover it comfortably even still. Van Dam managing to catch up to this. I think maybe saw a little bit of reactive defence from Stefanek there. Unsure, it looked like quite a sudden pulling to the side. So we go into the infield section. Oh, very, very close. Oh, a little bit of contact. Stefanek has sent Kirpchenko around. Just a little tap on the rear end. That is very unfortunate for the Soviet driver. Takes him completely out of contention. For the front runners, there's been a little bit more contact. Completely unintentional, obviously, in both cases. This one ending a little bit better for the two drivers involved. Toscanini getting really quite wide through that corner. Just come through into Toboggan. Honestly, you can really just see the difference in line. I'm just going to lock the camera here. You can really see the difference in line in confidence coming through that corner. Kelly Rockfoot here, potentially going to get a move here, actually. We're just going to catch it going into the final hairpin. So both go too wide. Sparrow locking up. I think that is a done and dusted move. How about jump back forwards? Because speaking of moves, we've got the two Alpines. But it's very much a David and Goliath story here. Kirpchenko and Dante Levas desperately trying to hang on to the back of the Pontiac ahead of them. Now that's almost punching through an entire Alpine-sized hole in the air, really, for these two. So if they can hang behind, they get all the benefits of the straight line speed and the sort of drag reduction of the Pontiac ahead. But then they still retain their increased handling. So these three could be a very interesting battle. We might see the Alpines maybe sort of deciding whether or not they're going to work together, or maybe they're going to sabotage one another just to desperately keep position. I don't know. Either way, Kirpchenko looking on the outside, Dante Levas looking on the inside. It's like a swarm of bees for the Pontiac. A little bit of contact maybe there. Both the Alpines getting through though. And now Dante Levas definitely looking to run away right now. Again, not sure if there's any contact. There's maybe just a little bit of a squabble, as we'd expect to see. But speaking of squabbles, we come down into Toboggan for the lead four. And here we go. Nicely through there. Both the Alpines. It looks like Kirpchenko maybe just has that pace advantage on Dante Levas that maybe isn't quite held by the others. Final corner for these lead four drivers. Now Van Dam did, I believe, have the fastest lap last race. Oh no, and I've just seen Niki Kirpchenko way down the order, so I think unfortunately maybe been a bit of contact that we've just missed, or maybe a lockup. Going into that final hairpin. Either way, not too much time to check. So coming to turn 1. You can really see the difference in lines. The large car going all the way onto that sort of difference in tarmac. You can just sort of see the reflection of the light sort of showing the little ridge of it. Now, is Van Dam going to look to make this 3 wide? I think, no, looks like instead of opting to let these two slow each other up, give her potentially move down the inside, we're going to see. Just going to try and hold it tight. It looks like that's going to be a little, nice little move up on Toscanini. A little bit of very, very slight contact, but absolutely nothing in the world of touring cars overall. We're going to see, can Basler hold off Yoshitsune? This is almost a repeat story of what we had last week at Feldbergring. Basler leading the reverse grid race, having to hold off people with maybe just that little bit of pace advantage, and this is where it's not about how much pace you have, it's very much where do you get past, how do you get past, and how do you stop yourself from wasting time. Speaking of, very late on the brakes from Yoshitsune there, and it looks like it nearly could have worked. If he was a little bit closer, he seemed to carry a lot of that speed through, but not quite close enough. Being said, that slipstream number so continues to come down. Van Dam setting the fastest lap. You can see, yeah, almost a second quicker than Basler here. So very much the pace advantage. But that being said, Basler looks to have managed to hold on to the lead. A little bit of contact maybe between the cars, a bit more contact. That's going to really shake things up. Again, not quite sure what happened there. Looks like maybe just that awkward corner just causing a little bit of minor taps that really could have gone a lot worse than it ended up going. That has allowed Berengar right back onto the tail of Yoshitsune. Lots and lots of tyre smoke. Everyone getting very, very frantic trying to get through here. On lap 6 of 11, just past halfway now. And I believe that is the Alpine of Alberto Dante Levas we just saw catch up to us. He's just sort of seeming to these two drivers trying to catch up to these drivers ahead. Whether it's that minor contact that's just allowed them to get back into contention. This could still be a 6-way battle for the lead. Very much far from over. It really seems like Ochikawa is really able to carry the speed into the braking zone. He's really braking a lot later than Basler. And that seems to be where the time's been made up mostly. Now a lot closer this time through. He's gonna try something through turn 1 again. It's what does Basler do? Where Basler positions the car going into this first corner is really important for how the corner goes. It seems they've gone for the inside. And they're gonna keep it fairly comfortable. Yoshikawa getting quite wide. I think he's had to lift off a little bit on exit. That's actually allowed Basler back through, maintaining first place. Van Dam on the dirt. I'm really not sure about that. Instead of opting to pull back across to the tarmac side of the circuit, definitely a much more intelligent move. As we come into the infield sector for the 7th time, Alberto Dante Levas right here, catching up. Only a second deficit, and this is the thing with these cars. You know, Formula cars, you can kind of have quite a big battle and still maintain a lot of speed. These cars, they're going to be losing lots of time a lap. Dante Levas nearly sort of a second and a half faster than all the drivers ahead, faster than Nitti Lauda behind even. A circuit really thought Lauda would maybe be able to make the most of. You know, very much favouring the cars with more horsepower with these long straights. So it's going to be interesting to see how this battle for first is going to develop. Going to the final hairpin, and again, doesn't matter how close Yoshikawa Yoshitsune can get the braking zone, he just doesn't seem to have it across the line. And if we finish in the same order now, you know, if we finish, even if he's 2 tenths behind, he's not got the power to get through. He's going to remain behind Basler as we cross the line. You can see here, start-finish line, I believe, is just there. We just crossed it. Just there. Nice and large black and white checkered flag in the tarmac. Ooh, a little bit late on the brakes from Yoshitsune. Now, maybe this is going to be his benefit. Maybe being behind and taking the correct racing line is going to help him out. Carry a bit more momentum rather than trying to take an alternate line. That being said, once again, Van Dam looking to just find any way through, really. It seems not able to get close enough to get on the inside. But we might see something through into the infield. Van Dam opting for more of an outside line. All of these 5 cars now very close. Dante Lewis very much in the fray now. A bit of contact, I believe, between Basler and Yoshitsune. I'm not sure about that. What quite happened there. That's allowed Van Dam around the outside, a bit more of a turn. That is unfortunately Yoshitsune turned by Van Dam there. It's not gone well for either of those 2 drivers out of all of that. And speaking of Berengar Toscanini, very, very wide. All mixed up through there. That's got to allow Dante Levas into second. Great move. A great change of fortune for the Argentinian at his home round. As the melee continues behind. It's like just some maybe slightly sloppy positioning, just causing some issues for some of the drivers. And that's really, as I said, it's really changed the fortunes of Basler and Yoshitsune. Yoshitsune now behind Kelly Rockfoot. Toscanini looking to the outside of Alberto. That being said, he's got really, really loose there. He's going to be on the curb. That's going to really knock him down a place. He's managing to save it remarkably, really. Running up onto the grass on the outside. Dante Levas going to probably have a terrifying view behind him. So you see both the Alfa Romeos directly behind. It's on the inside of Nithilo Senior in the Pontiac. Now this is very much still a tight battle for second. However, the more these all battle, contact once again. Oh, very unfortunate for the drivers. Once again, it's awful for Levas there. Very unfortunate. That contact, again, unclear who necessarily was at fault, but regardless of who's at fault, it's the result that's the unfortunate part for him. He's now down in 7th with his car mate, I suppose, not teammate, Iki Kirpchenko in 7th and 8th. That has, though, almost guaranteed Van Dam the win here. Sort of 8-second gap nearly after all of that. Meantime, we can see the battle between the 2 large cars here. Kelly Rockfoot and Nithilo Loracini. Kelly Rockfoot going down to the inside. Very late move on the brakes. Looks like he's going to run a little bit wide into the grass, though, unfortunately. Nearly a very good move. Just a little bit too late on the brakes, but the spirit was absolutely there. Van Dam setting a 47.7. 47.8, so, well, 7.93, so nearly a 47.8. Just a little bit quicker, though. Absolutely pacing away from the pack. Definitely, I mean, you know, that's pretty much 2 seconds on Berengar Toscanini. About a second and a half on Basler. Fastest lap. It just really, just those bestest laps, it just really illustrates how important it is to get clean air as soon as you can. Really kind of getting to the front of the pack is... But obviously you want to be at the front if you want to win the race, but if you can get there as soon as possible, if there's stuff happening behind it, you know, just kind of more benefits your own time. You don't have to necessarily be the quickest car on track to win these races if you're at the right place at the right time. I think that's really where Van Dam sort of benefited here. While she is obviously the quickest car on track right now, And she was kind of stuck in that 5-car pack, wasn't really able to make a move forward, but just managing to manoeuvre the instance has just allowed her to now get 9 seconds clear. She's already pulled a second from last lap. So it is now very much a battle of the best of the rest. Still potentially quite a few people who could take podium here. Yoshikawa Yoshitsune has managed to recover from the earlier incident into 4th. Again, this might just be what gives him the title away from Nithi Law. They're both tied, but Law the Senior has not managed to make the most out of this circuit, whether it's been little contacts or whatever. Either way, it looks like Basler's really been passed there on the straight line. I don't know if that's maybe letting Yoshitsune through for the earlier incidents. Or maybe it's just a deficit, maybe there's something technical going on, who knows. But either way, that seemed like a very, very comfortable pass for Yoshitsune. Could potentially be damage on the car after the combat that it's gone through. As we are coming into the infield section for the final time. It looks to be mostly not quite big enough gaps for anyone to do too much, but that being said, Dante Levas might be able to do something through this tight section. We're going to see. He's carrying as much momentum as he can, looking to the outside, but he can't get anything done. Maybe to the inside through here though. It's up on the inside going into this next corner. He's actually through already. He's got the exit for it. Kopchenko on the outside, running on the curb. Now this could be enough for Levas to make this 6th position stick. We're going to see. Again, you can really see the difference between the sort of the tank of the Jaguar versus these light fighters. Alberto Dante Levas on the curb, really getting loose there. Oh, Kopchenko very late on the brakes, nearly into the back of Dante Levas. Now it's going to be interesting here. Now, is there enough time for the Jaguar to get past? It's a 3/10 he's got to catch to Kopchenko. I think Dante Levas has it, but it's going to be super close across the line between Rockfoot. It's going to be very, very close across the line indeed. I think just kept by Kopchenko there. Very, very close. Probably barely a 10th in it. But unfortunately that is 8th for Kelly Rockfoot, despite that effort at the end. Kopchenko does retain his 7th. Well held. But that is, I believe, 2 wins in a row for Van Dam. The only double win of the season. Nobody throughout the whole season has managed to win both races. Only one driver other than Van Dam that's managed to appear on the podium twice so far in the same weekend, that being Nithi Law the Senior at Feldberg Ring. But she managed to make it 2 wins at Buenos Aires. A great drive from the Belgian. Obviously, as people are now pulling off, doing their celebratory drifts around the circuit. We'll obviously wait and see for the final results. So we haven't had a few disconnects, so I don't want to necessarily call them fully just yet. But very well driven from everyone here. This is the first time for many of our drivers they've ever been to Buenos Aires, so new little challenge. Seems like it's quite well balanced for the cars. Seems like everyone had their strong and weak points, but your final finishing order does seem to be Olivia Van Dam in first, Ongar Toscanini second, Yoshikawa Yoshitsune third, and Thomas Basler fourth, Nithi Law the Senior fifth, Alberto Dante Levas fifth, Keith Sparrow-Roy. The order has unfortunately all jumped out of order now. I'll get the proper final results up in just a moment. We'll just wait for them to come in. I do apologise for those slightly incorrect results. We'll just quickly get them corrected. So, right, race 1 was won by Van Dam, Yoshikawa Yoshitsune second, Iki Kopachenko third, Bengar Toscanini fourth, Nithi Lawther Senior fifth, Alberto Dante Levas sixth, Lawrence Kelly Rockfoot seventh, Leon Stefanek eighth, Hans Helmuth Basler ninth, Keith Sparrow 10th, Bertrand Kelly Rockfoot 11th. And we're just waiting for the other result to come through. And I believe it's just come through now. Here we go. So Olivia Van Dam is your second race winner. Vanguard Toscanini second. Yoshikawa Yoshitsune third. Hans Helmuth Basler fourth. Nithi Lawther Senior fifth. Alberto Dante Leva sixth. Iki Kopachenko seventh. Lawrence Kelly Rockfoot eighth. Keith Sparrow ninth. Leon Stefanek 10th. Bertrand Kelly Rockfoot 11th. Now I imagine we will probably have quite a busy stewards room after those slight knocks and touches between drivers. But either way, thank you anyone who has tuned in to our race stream. We will be finishing the season next week. We will be at Brands Hatch. I thank everyone who tunes in, everyone who races as well week to week. We couldn't have such great battles without the drivers. But yes, as I say, we will be at Brands Hatch next week for the final round. I hope you can join us. It'll be the same time, 8 o'clock British time, BST, as we're in summertime. And that is when we'll start, maybe just a little bit after that, because we have to wait for qualifying. And I hope to see you then. So thank you for anyone who has been tuned in, and have a good evening.